response of taking care of your gut and what can happen from there. So step 3, probably the most important one, and the component that I will argue, and I have not seen a comparison yet, that no other company can do, is the production of dopamine and serotonin and the balance of neurotransmission production. And here's the key. The term endogenous or natural dopamine and serotonin production. No one can do it like us. And why is that important? A couple things. One, dopamine and serotonin and other neurotransmitters, 90+% of them are produced in your gut. They're sent to your brain where they're used through the vagus nerve, right? The connection between your gut and your brain. They're sent from there. How do you make them? Well, they're produced. What are the things that inhibit this production? One, stress. The cortisol hormone. When you're stressed, your body produces cortisol, part of the fight or flight response. Cortisol inhibits, decreases the production of neurotransmitters. And what's crazy is it's those neurotransmitters, primarily dopamine and serotonin. You can throw norepinephrine and others in there as well, but we'll focus on the dopamine and serotonin because those are the two most powerful pathways. Stress shuts off your gut's ability to produce those neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters are what overcome stress. So you get the cycle, right? If you can't produce dopamine and serotonin, you can't overcome the stress response. This is also why exercise is so important, because exercise increases a little dopamine, increases endorphins, helps to, decrease stress a little bit, and you overpower it, which is why Peter's never stressed, because he's always working out. But the key is putting yourself in the position to not have to worry about the stress, to overcome the stress response. The other part is glyphosate, other toxins, a poor functioning gut keeps you from producing dopamine and serotonin. So you've got to clean up the gut. You've got to restore the gut in order to get the dopamine and serotonin producing again. And you need nootropics, right? Well, the two most powerful nootropics I've ever seen are called Restore and Zero In. And is Zero In just something for producing dopamine and serotonin? Actually, no. The pine bark extract found in Zero In is actually very gut protective and gut regenerative on its own, because it's part of that process. You have to feed the gut the specific tools it needs to produce more dopamine and serotonin. So why is that important? Gut-brain connection, right? What's the most important thing for us when it comes to restful recovery? Sleep. How many people sleep well? Most of them don't. You know the people that sleep really well? They're deeply rooted. Because they're using clean slate, they're playing with Zero In. And have you taken a Zero In before bed yet? Even one? Oh, you should try. I'll tell you, it's your challenge, Peter. I'm telling you, bro. Gotta do it. You're shaking your head. I'm watching you. If you guys have been using clean slate and Zero In and Restore for a bit and you haven't tried taking a Zero In before bedtime, trust me, you won't stay up. If you focus on going to bed, if you focus on sleep, you'll go out and it will be glorious. That's the beauty of neurotransmission and intention. This is why Zero In is so beneficial for gut health and gut communication, because it's not a stimulant. It's feeding your gut the ability to produce dopamine and serotonin naturally, endogenous dopamine and serotonin, right? So it's zero in is giving your gut the tools to turn up the heat, right? Restore is fixing the fireplace, right? It's repairing the fireplace. It's putting some of the good logs and such in there. And then you throw in some zero in, and it's like throwing gasoline or kerosene on the fire. It's like, all right, let's see what we can really cook up now. And the beauty of this little capsule is the fact that you can use it on demand, and the number of capsules that you take is going to extend the duration of the experience, not the spike. It is absolutely amazing. You can be higher longer. And when I say high, I don't mean like high or like on cocaine. I mean and functioning at a level of which you want to be, you might not be familiar with. You can become the you that you've always wanted to be. And this goes back to the sharing part and some of the personality types that we have. If you are a person that is more reluctant in communicating with people, I'll tell you, pop a couple zero in, watch what happens. You become a different, better you, because increased levels of dopamine and serotonin allow you to become a better person, because you feel better, you function better, you'll move better. As an athlete, you perform better. My favorite basketball player, after 2.5 years of being away, came back last night. My alma mater from Washington State University, Clay Thompson. Michael Thompson even named his son after me. Not true, actually. It is actually not true. Would be cool. He spells it differently. He spells the name with a K. Who knew? But you take elite athletes and you increase their dopamine and serotonin levels. You put them in a position where they will function so far beyond their competition, it's almost not fair. And if you're an athlete, that's where you want to be. You want to be in a position where it's actually just easy and you feel and function so much better than your competition that it just becomes a joke. It's when you become dominant. That's when dominant players become invincible and become legendary. That's what most of us search for, greatness, right? That's what we want. But greatness is never provided, and it's not for everyone. Greatness is a choice, right? It takes work, typically. We're giving you the option to choose it simply. And when you find it, you know. If you don't know, you honestly don't know. But with a little experience, you know really quickly. So the importance of neurotransmission and gut health is definitely top 3, but you can never get to that part without doing the first 2 components. And this is why the Trinity is so important. We didn't really hit on as much, but it's actually very important. And the key, if you look at some of the literature, melatonin is one of those things that's been shown to be very protective against all of this vid issues and everything. And what's the best way to produce melatonin? It's not by taking melatonin supplements. It's by decalcifying your pineal gland and allowing natural serotonin to be converted to melatonin through that pineal gland, which all starts in your gut. So even the best parts of your brain and the little gland, your light center of your brain that just sits on the blood side of your brain, all can start in your gut. So you don't need to take serotonin supplements, which screw up your hormones, which is the reason they want you to do that. Take a little zero in. Try one before bed. Watch what happens. And here's the beautiful part. and I've talked about this before, if you're not going to get the amount of sleep that you're accustomed to, I do this when I know if we're up late and I still have to get up early and I don't get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which is what my body really requires to function ideally. If I don't get it in a couple days in a row, I'm a wreck, right? If you're not going to get the normal amount of sleep that you're accustomed to, what I'll do is I'll take a 0 in, and I've taken 2 once. What happens is you get that increase in serotonin and dopamine. The pathways function as this. When you focus and you have the intention to go to sleep, your body uses and creates more serotonin than dopamine. The serotonin creates melatonin and DMT. So you go to sleep and you dream. You get restful sleep. When you're ready to wake up, your body shifts and produces more dopamine. That allows you to wake up and feel refreshed and alert and amazing. That's the dopamine kick. That's the fun part of using 0 in at night. And one of the things, and we haven't really released it, well, actually not really, we haven't released it, but this formula resets your circadian rhythm. That's why you use it in the morning. It will completely reset your circadian rhythm, which is also why you can use one at night with your intention and you're good. So it's like bathing in the sun and going to bed with the moon. It's great. Let me see here. So Caesar had a question on the caffeine and 0 in. Let me hit on this real quick. It's a common question. I think we've got it answered in the FAQs. We'll have Christina or I'll do a video on it to make it easier to understand. So we have anhydrous caffeine in 0 in. Anhydrous caffeine is an extract of the leaf, not of the bean. It's a different approach, different mechanism. Anhydrous caffeine, which is basically dehydrated caffeine, it's powdered form from the leaf, not the bean. And it acts as a dopamine agonist, meaning it helps the body create dopamine. But what's interesting about it is it's also a dopamine buffer, which means it's basically got its own ceiling. It creates the ceiling so you can't spike dopamine too high. You know where that happens? That happens with drugs. Cocaine, heroin, other drugs will spike your dopamine levels so high that you become euphoric. And your brain's like, oh my God, this is an amazing feeling. What are the problems with it? You drop in 30 minutes. And then you will chase that feeling trying to get that back because your brain's going, holy cow, this was the most amazing feeling I've ever had. But you can never get it back. And the good part with cocaine is it'll cost you your life, it'll cost you your house, and it's really bad for you. And it'll kill you. And if it doesn't kill you, you'll end up on the street because you'll sell everything you have to try to get that feeling back when all you have to do is spend $1.30 a pill. It's a much better trade. So, the anhydrous caffeine doesn't act as a stimulant. Your intention can, and this is what's really important. If you go to the YouTube channel, which everyone you know should be subscribing to just for its educational purposes. If you watch the heart rate variability analysis with Dr. Stefan Rao, right, which there's a couple videos on the longevity and decreasing biological age, and in a couple of the videos with Dr. Rao. If you look at the beginning of the heart rate variability, right, and heart rate variability is really important. It's a phenomenal measurement. Hopefully we'll have a collaboration with a couple of the companies that are selling rings and doing wristbands for heart rate variability because we can change it, they can track it. It's highly monetizable. But your heart rate and your heart rate variability are two separate things. If you drink a bunch of caffeine, if you drink a bunch of coffee or Red Bull or different stimulants, your heart rate is going to change, right? Because it's a stimulant. What's been proven with zero in is taking, with the studies that Dr. Rao did, taking 2 capsules, a sachet of Restore, and 10 drops of Clean Slate, doesn't change your heart rate. It improves your heart rate variability. Improves. Doesn't change your heart rate. That's 200 milligrams of anhydrous caffeine. Doesn't change your heart rate. Why? Because that caffeine, the anhydrous caffeine, serves as a catalyst in the chemical reaction of those 7 ingredients. The other catalyst is vitamin D. There's 1,000 IUs of vitamin D in zero in. So is that vitamin D a supplement to give your body vitamin D? No, it's a catalyst. It's used in the chemical reaction to create the dopamine and serotonin, right? So it's the important part of understanding how things can be combined and used. If you take sugar and you take flour and you take eggs individually, they can do what they do. If you mix them with some vanilla or whatever else you want, I think you use a little milk too. I can't bake very well. But if you mix those all together and throw it in the oven, you can make a cake. You can make tasty goodness. You have the same thing with zero in. You take 7 ingredients in the right combinations, right quality of ingredients. You throw that in your oven, your gut, boom. Better living through biochemistry. So if you're afraid of it, don't be. Try it. If you get it and you don't like it or it doesn't work, you have 2 options. Sell them to your friends. They will buy them from you. Or 2, send them back to us and we'll give you your money back. I would tell you, choose plan A if you don't like them. Give some samples to your friends. You'll have a bunch of customers for a long time because they'll love it. Sometimes it can take you 3, 4, 5 days for your body to acclimate to the process because our neurotransmission systems don't work. You're too toxic to be functional right now. So you got to reset everything. So it's a process. So while in most instances, people can take 1 or 2 capsules and literally in 10 to 15 minutes go, holy cow, this is different. But in the instances where it takes a few days, give it a few days. Let it do its thing.